how we meet and stay in touch with people. Obviously, many of these folks that know each other online probably have never seen each other, have never met each other, probably never will. But they have managed to build kind of a digital trust of sorts through the nature of the information that they're getting. And as we start to find those folks as well, we can kind of do a virtual name request of sorts. You know, you're going to know that Techno Geek, who is really, really good at setting up a great, great blog for you. And you're going to be able to access them maybe when you're out on an incident, rather than perhaps tapping into your own crew, which might not have the strengths in those areas. So recognize that you're going to be able to expand your network of people through those virtual medias. And it also increased our ability to keep our internal audiences advised in a faster way. And that's one of our big problems, is if you forget to email some of the really important people from the agency or the governor's office or whomever, there's going to be a problem. But if you have these set up feeds between, let's say, your Twitter site and a site that they're utilizing, every time you update that Twitter site, that message is going to be passed on to those individuals as well. Fourth, it's changing what we reveal. We saw it with the Obama campaign and what people were really excited about. We know that it's a value of our culture, transparency. People want to know what's going on. They want to see how it's going on, how those decisions are being processed. Recognizing that we don't control that information, we have to get on the bandwagon with providing as much transparency as possible. It's not a question of if bad news or other news is going to be released, it's a question of when. And it's not a question of us releasing it, it's a question of us participating in the discussion that's going on. With that idea of wanting to be transparent, unfortunately, within the arenas that we work in, we need to have a pretty good understanding of what the public has a right to know and what we can actually release. So that means some homework on our end, and it's pretty different from agency to agency, and agencies are changing at different speeds. So I'm not certainly going to make a particular recommendation. It's something we each have to kind of take home with us. You may even go to a forest where the agency may have given you some leeway, but a public affairs officer there or a forest supervisor is not very comfortable with utilizing it. Those changes have to start at the policy level. And Art and I were kind of talking about that a little bit. Some of these, our agencies are well behind the times on this. And they're moving, but it's a lot slower than the rest of the world is moving. And the fifth one is that it's changing what we can influence. We've generally used traditional media as our means of disseminating this. These tools essentially allow us to kind of circumvent that. We're kind of moving around traditional media to some extent and being able to go directly to our stakeholders. Benefits to that, you're never going to be misquoted again. You're never going to have a message that you were trying to put out in one way, but then the snippet that comes out on the news doesn't really convey what you were trying to say. You're going to be sending that message directly out. But you don't want to leave those other media sources behind. We tend to look at these as, oh, okay, well, this is a great new gadget, shiny new tool, and neglect the other tools that are still very, very much at play. Yes?
Yeah, I'd just like to throw in there a little bit. In Wisconsin, much of Wisconsin is rural. What I'm finding because that's my job, to communicate to all these people, there's this sense that the newspapers are going away. Not true. Weekly newspapers are actually doing very well. And I was just talking to the Portage County Gazette the other day. They're increasing circulation 400 or 500 readers a year. They're actually growing. And in the big city, Craigslist is killing the newspapers because they're losing their classified ad revenue. But in Durand, no. If you want to sell your bicycle in Durand, you put an ad in the local weekly paper. So that's one of the messages I keep giving to our communications team is don't write off the newspapers.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. Don't write off the newspapers. Don't write off the TV stations even. We're even moving to that direction. And don't write them off. For that reason, in rural communities, some rural communities are incredibly high-tech, some are not. Also, thinking of your audiences. About 80% of the users of these higher technologies are under the age of 40. So if you've got an audience that's predominantly made up of retirees who may be in their mid-60s or older, they're probably probably not utilizing these tools. So yeah, absolutely, you can't turn off those other tools that are out there.